Reaching Clean Cities Coalition. I'm glad to be with you all today, and a lot of good things happening in the world, and a lot of things that are not good that are happening in the world. But we want to talk about some good things that are happening with GWRCCC. Want to thank our team for putting on our monthly stakeholder meeting, and also the opportunity to share some good information on things that are happening with the coalition and some of our partners and collaborators from across the region and also across the country. Just to a couple housekeeping things. If you've not done so, please join us for our conference and stakeholder luncheon that's coming up in a couple weeks, October 3rd and 4th. So we're full steam ahead. We'll be celebrating 30 years of clean cities in the DMV. We have been around 30 years. We originally were under the Council of Governments, and now just over 10 years ago, we became a standalone nonprofit. So we've been we one of the first clean city organizations in the country, right in DC, and so we want to celebrate that. We'll also have a number of awards. We're having an awards luncheon. We having a day before this is Drive Electric Week coming up soon, and we'll have a pre-conference that will focus on electrification, but our actual conference on the 4th, we'll talk about a lot of different technical training, education, workshops, luncheon, exhibit space. We're going to display some electric vehicles, some hydrogen vehicles, some propane, some biodiesel vehicles, some natural gas vehicles. And so we're looking forward to the vehicle display. You can buy a souvenir journal ad as well. So make sure you do that and bring all your friends and family with you. We want to have a sellout crowd. So we will end the day with a nice networking session as well. We'll have a nice end of the event conference happy hour as well. So a lot of great ways. You know, it's not what you know. They often say it's who you know. So come there ready to take care of some business, and you can register right now. So the link is in the chat. I also want to always encourage you to join Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition, and also to follow us on social media. So I want everyone to make sure today that you go to our Facebook page and click on Facebook, and you can take that link and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We post on there every day. Laurel does that for us, her and other members of our team. And that's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information on social media. So especially make sure you follow us on that. We post a lot of videos. This video today will be on YouTube as well. It is being broadcast live on all of our platforms. But if you ever want to see an old webinar or Zoom call or function that we put on, always just go right to our website, go at the top or the bottom of the page, go to our YouTube page, and we try our best to post all of these activities on our YouTube page. Later today, Laurel will talk about some of the funding opportunities that we have, and I'm going to get started right now and just get right into the presenters, and I'm going to turn it over to after that, after we get to a couple of our first speaker, I'll then turn it over to Laurel. Her and Kim will run the rest of the program. Laurel will make sure we get through everything in decency and order. But before I introduce our first speaker, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple folks. As again, this is Drive Electric Week is coming up next week, and I see Blink Charging on there, and know Bob and Edwin, who are big big EV charging folks, but we want to make sure that you all are all plugged in to this energy transition that's happening. And it's all different fuels, but for this call, we want to really talk today about electrification. But I want to share just one last appeal. So if you've not bought your ticket yet for the awards luncheon and the conference, make sure you do that. And we need all hands on deck to make sure we can recognize some of the folks in the industry and also celebrate 30 years of GWRCCC hard work in this region. So without further ado, I'm going to read. I have his information somewhere on Edwin's information. All right, Edwin, here we go. All right, Edwin is the co-founder of Citizen Energy LLC and Avanza EV, a new national initiative to increase EV adoption in disadvantaged communities. He is a serial entrepreneur, having started private companies in clean energy tech, finance, and project development. Sounds like myself. Serial entrepreneur. Prior to working in the private sector, Edwin worked at the U.S. Department of Energy in the area of energy savings, performance contracting, energy demand management, green procurement, public engagement, and workforce development. During the Recovery Act, Edwin had the unique opportunity to support the White House and Obama administration in implementing outreach strategies for over $75 billion in clean energy investments. And that sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It doesn't sound like it is a lot of money. Now, when we think about the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law, those numbers pale in comparison. It's like, oh my God, so that's a lot of money, Edwin, and I'm sure you helped a lot of people. Also, we have today Bob Erdman. Bob is the treasurer and a board member of the Electric Vehicle Association of Greater Washington, DC. He's an all-volunteer nonprofit that covers Maryland, DC, and Northern Virginia to promote education and adoption of electric vehicles. Bob is also on the policy team of the Electric Vehicle Association, EVA, which advises 100 chapters of the best policies to advance electric vehicles. EVADC is a chapter of EVA. And in Maryland, Bob has worked with legislators, the Public Service Commission, Maryland Department of Transportation, and other organizations to promote and educate policymakers about electric vehicles. I want to say one last thing before I bring up our first speaker, Edwin, that the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities will be, we were awarded a grant for Drive Electric USA. And next month, in a few weeks, we'll be launching our Drive Electric DC website. It's going to be driveelectricdc.org. And we'd love for you all to be part of that advisory group. Give us some feedback and input. As you all know, many of you may or may not know, we run around 7 or 8 different electrification initiatives, everything from workforce development, assistance and technical support, ride and drives, vehicle displays, a multi-unit dwelling program, a workplace charging program through a program called Empower, which we need many of you to sign up. Laurel can get into that. Her and Kim can address that later. And then we also have a electric school bus program, the Mid-Atlantic Electric School Bus Experience Program. And then we also have the Mid-Atlantic Electrification Partnership, where we really focus on deployment of EV chargers, EVs for Lyft, and some shuttle buses, some level 2 and level 3 chargers. So we're deep in this space. And so Drive Electric DC will be a great opportunity for us to work with automobile dealers, continue to work with you all as well. But also, as Bob indicated, we'll be able to do a lot more even focused education and outreach. Every time our office puts on an event or we participate in a community function or industry-related function that includes a broad cross-section of the community, there's so many questions, because remember, 90% of people do not have an electric vehicle in our region. And so there's so much education, so much awareness, and it needs to be done. And driveelectricdc.org is just one additional tool for all of us that can help us really accelerate passengers, drivers of passenger vehicles and some other vehicles to make that transition. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Edwin. Edwin's always, Edwin or Steve going to be on? Do I see Edwin on here? Edwin, yeah. So we'll turn over to Edwin. Welcome, Edwin. It's good to see you as always. My pleasure. Happy Drive Electric from week to month. Good to see you.
Happy Drive Electric Week. Thanks, Antoine, as always. It's glad to be on here, and thanks for allowing me to share some of the work that we're doing in the greater Washington, D.C. area. Laurel or Diane, I believe, could you bring up the slides?
Yep, working on it right now. Everyone can see?
You can only see a blank screen.
It's coming.
Okay, thank you.
All good.
No, it's not there yet.
I have two screens. Let me put it on the other screen.
Well, while we wait, Antoine, we have a big next couple of weeks with the Hispanic Heritage Month kicking off, and I know you've got CBC events and a lot of stuff going on, right?
Yeah, we do. In fact, we're doing a number of events. We have a reception during both of the caucuses on Thursday night, and then we're doing a environmental justice panel around biofuels during the day at 2:30 at the Courtyard Marriott, right next to
The delegate.
the delegate, yeah, in the same buildings, right next to the hotel there at the convention center.
Yeah, saw that.
So,
Some
yeah, so we're busy. We're trying to do some good work.
Yep.
All right, well, the floor is yours. I'm going to be quiet and let you go to work here.
Thank you. No problem. Could you guys go to the first slide? Here we go. I just wanted to take the opportunity to share some of the work that we've been doing in disadvantaged and underserved communities, predominantly Latino Spanish-speaking communities in Maryland, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County. Again, as Antoine introduced me, I'm the CEO of Citizen Energy and the co-founder for Avanza EV. And Avanza EV is focused on targeting these types of communities so we could make the an equitable EV transition and increase adoption from these communities. Just wanted to set the stage, and we piloted this program over the last few months at Glenmont Forest Apartments and Sheridan Apartments. Together, it's over close to 700 units. These are majority Latino, Spanish-speaking census tracts, and also low income. The other share of folks, households that live there, are other critical minority groups. So we're really making an impact there. I can tell you firsthand, Steve is also on the call, our education director. No one there owns an EV. No one cared about an EV until we got there. And so we've got some exciting updates, and we're making some progress in changing hearts and minds at these locations. Next slide, please. So we've been at these sites for about 7 months, and our education and outreach team has been doing everything from, just getting the property owners and the property managers excited. We entered into a contract with them to do charging stations. And as a condition of installing the charging stations for free, they had to agree to an education program at the site. We told them that we had an adoption strategy that would help them get more utilization out of those stations. And it took a while, but they finally saw the vision and they agreed to it. Lo and behold, once we started working at the property, they were, at least in the beginning, we're at the properties, very skeptical. But after a while, they were the ones doing, their staff were the ones doing the outreach, putting up flyers, inviting people to events. And we've done a variety of things at these sites, from door knocking, tabling. By far, we've found most recently that the EV showcases are what gives us the most impact and the most results. And it doesn't even have to be a ride and drive event. It's just bringing the technology so they can touch it, feel it, and see it. One of our objectives is to gain interest pledges. An interest pledge is basically they sign up for a specific EV that they like, that they studied, that our education coordinator has talked to them about, the incentives, financing. We connect them to a dealership. So it's a very strong pledge. And once we did about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 now, actually, time goes by so fast, right? We held one of our EV showcases, and this is this slide that you're seeing here, where we got 6 pledges in a matter of hour and a half, 2 hours, which before that, it would take us a week to get 1 pledge, right? You guys know how it is to get folks just to talk to you about some of this. And particularly in our communities, when you don't have Spanish content, it's hard to talk to them as it is, and get them to commit to anything and build trust. And we've done that. And again, at these EV showcase events, the one that we held about 4 weeks ago, this is from Glenmont Forest, I believe, apartments. And we had 40 tenants attended. There was food, music. Again, our education coordinators were on site, as well as partners, local partners. We throwing a shout out there for EVADC. I didn't know we were going to be on the same webinar here, but we appreciate them bringing over their vehicles and helping educate the community. Very important is we had dealerships there. Dealerships are interested. We're obviously they want to sell cars, right? You've heard there's a lot of over inventory, but they're doing it more when they work with us. They do it more from a consumer advocacy standpoint, where they're there to educate and try to really help folks either lease or buy an EV and use the discounts that are available. One of the biggest challenges we found in doing our work with dealerships is that they are not signed up with the IRS or don't have any plans to sign up with the IRS for the tax credit. And for our communities, our low-income communities, well, the dealerships need to use that tax credit as a down payment, right? They need to be able to, our folks, our communities need to be able to use the tax credit as a down payment. So the dealership needs to be signed up. And a lot of this was all new and coming out of the IRA. But you ask yourself, who's on the front lines doing this? Well, we are, and our community really needs it. And so we're also working those pieces, and we appreciate any and all support. I know everyone here on the call is involved intimately with that, but those are some of the challenges that we're addressing for our communities. Next slide, please. I have a very brief presentation. I wanted to take this opportunity. We're kicking off Hispanic Heritage Month, and on Saturday, we're going to have another EV showcase. This actually will be a bigger festival. We're calling it the Evolucion Fest. We hope to have multiple EVs. There's going to be pupusas, so free food. Come by, and there will also be music. It's over at Tacoma Park Plaza. This event will involve the Sheridan Apartments tenants, residents, as well as the general public. We partnered with El Paraíso restaurant, so they're very excited, and we hope this is going to be a big success. Please take this and share it with anyone and everyone you think should attend. Everyone's invited. You don't have to be Latino to attend. So that's going to happen 12 to 4 on Saturday. Next slide, please. This just last slide just has my contact information. If you'd like to get more information on what we're working on, our next events or next set of properties and work we're doing, please email or call, and we'd be glad to talk. We're always looking for new partnerships, and just want to also thank Antoine and his team, GWRCCC, for opening a lot of doors and being a great partner in our communities.
Great. Thank you so much, Edwin, for your presentation. Does anyone have any questions for Edwin?
Where can I raise my hand?
Oh, whoever was just speaking, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, hi, sorry. I was looking for the raising my hand button. Yeah, this is Scott Wilson. I'm with, I'm Vice President of EVADC, and yeah, we sent several cars, you know, to Glenmont Forest, and that worked out well. And so you said that the dealers have not signed up with the IRS, and I believe, so what they have to do, I mean, have they? Because what they have to do is there's a form that they have to fill out for every, I know for the used cars, because I just bought a used car, and so I'm familiar with this, and they have to file a form with the IRS, and it's very kind of basic information, and but yeah, they need to get up to speed on that. So has there been any progress on that? Because it is true, after January 1st, people are going to be able to use their $4,000 tax credit for used EV up front. So basically walk into the dealer with a voucher. And if the dealer can take advantage of that, then, you know, they can sell cars better. So I just wonder if, has there been any progress on that, or education of dealers?
Yeah, my understanding, and again, this is new for us. We just started about 3 months ago on that part of the outreach. But my understanding is that there's two parts of the process, right? As a taxpayer, if I go buy an EV, the dealership needs to do some paperwork just so I'm able to claim that credit on my taxes, right? So that's part one. Part two, and that's maybe what they did for you, Scott. Not sure, but the second part of the process, which is critical to disadvantaged communities, is there's going to be a special registration process for any dealership that's going to offer the tax credit as a down payment, or for consumers to use it as a down payment. That part, they haven't released the guidelines or the form yet. So, you know, that's on the federal government. But even then, the dealerships we speak to, they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. We have no plans for that. I'm not sure if that would even work, right? So there's already skepticism that we don't like the idea. We know it's in the law. We don't like it. And the federal government hasn't released anything. So there's a lot of confusion in our community, because when you're trying to do education, 90%, if not more, of folks in our communities need to use that as a down payment. They don't have the tax liability, right? They don't have the cash lying around. And the only reason they're excited about this, I mean, they obviously, the Latino community supports the environmental benefits and others. There's tons of studies, but when it comes down to it, they're going to make it based on a financial decision. And so when Steve, who's on our call here on our education team, when he talks to them about this, they get excited about the $7,500. And then they say, let me see the car and tell me more about it. And what about the range? The range always is an issue, right? Can I get to where I want to get to? So we feel we went all hands on deck on that most recently, and working with our partners and funders to say, hey, we need to put in more money to educate these dealerships and liaison on both sides with the consumer, the dealership, and the IRS. So that's been our experience so far. I would be glad, again, we're new to this on that end, and be glad to get any feedback and input from anyone else. And let's attack this together.
Yeah, I agree. I'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Scott.
Great, thank you for that question. We had another question in the chat from Quentin Washington, and Matt Chen addressed it from Blink's standpoint, but I also wanted to hear from you, Edwin. What does providing charging stations for free entail, and how is it funded?
Yeah, Matt, thanks for from Blink, right? Yeah, that's right on. And we operate under a similar model as Blink. We're offer the stations for zero upfront. Now, these charging stations have been fully funded by one of our partners, either a foundation or in hopefully in the near future by the federal government, sometimes by the state government, Maryland in this case. And what they fund is, design, installation, permitting, as well as 5 years of maintenance. In this case, they are third party owned and operated. Our company owns and operates them for the property. The property just needs to host them. In many cases, they get a profit share. That's a little hard in the beginning because no one has EVs and they see it, but based on the education program, they're also seeing this as an adoption and utilization driver. So they start to see the vision on the profit share. We also offer, in some cases, a site lease payment for hosting the charging stations. But that's roughly how the program works.
Thank you. Any other questions for Edwin before I move on?
Yeah, I've got a quick question for Edwin and Blink. Do you have any issues with demand charges in any of your properties?
We're starting to experience that. I think what we've been lucky that the common area meters that we've been able to tap, or the panels, they've been on rates, and the demand there has been low, that we haven't had that as an issue, but it is on our radar. And I know it's definitely an issue at some properties. We haven't done, we're just in the process right now of doing a couple of projects that will have a new service. And of course, its own rate structure beyond the building's rate structure. So we have a lens on that, and I'd love to follow up as we get more experience with other sites that do have those issues.
Yeah, I just want to say we one of our EVADC members has had that issue, and we brought it to the Public Service Commission. And the Public Service Commissions, I would say they're interested in understanding more about it. So maybe we can join forces.
Yeah, I heard about that. Is that over at Seneca?
In that area, yeah.
Yeah, Seneca Village, I believe. Yeah, I've heard about that, and I've been following, and definitely if we run across it, we'd love to bring this back up to this group, and let's join forces. We'll share our experience. And I know that's definitely an issue nationally, right? With EV charging deployment.
Yep.
All right. I think we're ready to move on to Bob Erdman. So thank you so much, Edwin.
Thank you, Laurel.
Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me okay? Mother's house, and I noticed my connection's been a little shaky. It gets bad, I can turn my video off.
It's a little shaky, so maybe turn your video off.
All right. Hopefully.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
Are you speaking right now by chance? Because if so, I can't hear you at least. Did we lose? Oh,
Okay.
I think you're muted, Bob. Bob, are you still there?
I don't, he's coming back in.
Bob, are you here? Darn Wi-Fi issues.
He is here. I'm just asked him to unmute. There we go.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see your ear.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I'll mute this one, or I'll turn this off. So can you? So I called him on my cell phone.
Good idea. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you well now.
All right, could you go to the next slide then, please?
Yes.
So first, I'll talk a little about EVADC. EVADC, it's a nonprofit. It's an all-volunteer nonprofit. Most of our members have their own EVs. We've been in business since 1980, and we're one of maybe about 100 chapters of the Electric Vehicle Association, which is our national. We hold many events during the year, including what we're talking about, NDO, National Drive Electric Week. There's something called DEED, which is Drive Electric Earth Day. We do school events, car shows, as you heard from Edwin, monthly Zoom calls. One of our monthly Zoom calls I should have highlighted here is called Ask an EV Owner, where every month, the first Wednesday of the month, we have a Zoom call where people can come and ask any questions. And our members, so far, we've driven over 7 million electric miles. So we got a lot of experience to share. Next slide, please. So our website has a section with information for the public. One of the most important ones is our info sheet, which you see a little kind of a picture of on the left there. We also have policy papers like the far-reaching benefits of electric vehicles that goes into a lot of details about not only the benefits for the individual, but also for the community, the state, the country, and even the world as far as climate change goes. And it tries to show the monetary benefit for each of those sections. Then we have a lot of papers like the one that's highlighted here on the far right. EVs get cleaner as the grid gets cleaner, which is something that's interesting for environmental people to understand. That as time goes on, all EVs get cleaner. Next slide. So I just thought I'd share a little section of the top of our EV info sheet. So this, in 2023, this is our 11th year, EVADC's 11th year putting this together. And in the beginning, it only had like 3 or 4 cars, maybe 7. Now we can't fit all the EVs on 2 sides of paper. We had to make a separate one for plug-in hybrids. So through that time, we found those aspects that the public is most interested. They want to know about, like to see a photo, they want to know the price. So we show the price before and after federal tax, the range, acceleration, charging speed. That has to do with how fast it can charge on a level 3 charger. And then the average monthly cost for electric charging of the vehicle. So this is available online. And if anyone comes to our in-person and do events, you can get yourself a nice paper copy too, for yourself and to share with your network. Next slide. So now, National Drive Electric Week. National Drive Electric Week, it's officially from September 22nd to October 1st. There's two parts to it. One part is so it's in-person events, and there's also online events. So next slide, please. So the first one we have is Poolsville Day. So Poolsville Day last year, it was the biggest Endu event in the world. I don't know, more. I'm not sure the stats, but definitely more than 100 EVs. There's ride and drives, all sorts of EV information, and at the same time is Poolsville Day, where there'll be parades, food trucks, music, and more. You can see on the photo on the right the number of people that are lined up there for the Poolsville Day, and at the bottom you can see some of the EVs on display. That's Poolsville Day, and then a week later, next slide. A week later, we're having the EV in DC event, where I'm one of the city captains promoting this one. It's right there on the mall. If you look at the lower picture, you see the little yellow stripe. That's where the cars will be lined up. And Scott Wilson, who's on the call, he took a picture last year, or not, maybe a few years ago, when we had the same location where he got a picture of the Capitol right through a Model X. So in addition to the cars, we've invited a number of different groups like Moms Clean Air Force, Echo Madres, Hip Hop Caucus, and other environmental justice groups to come and speak at the event. Next slide. Later that day, on the same day, you can drive, if you're into it, you could drive north to Clarksville, and we have another EV. It's not a EVADC sponsored one, but it's another one of the National Drive Electric Week events in our area. Again, a lot of cars, most all the cars come from individual owners. I mean, members of the public who drive and want to share their experience. Next slide. Then there's an event at George Mason University on October 1st. Again, a lot of people will be bringing their own cars to share their experience. Next slide. Now, this is the last one I have for the in-person events. I haven't made to this one yet myself, but it's at a raceway, and some people will bring their EVs and try see how fast they can drive them. I'd like to make it, but I'm going to be out of town again, so maybe I have to go the year after this. Next slide. So in addition to the events, the in-person events, there's a number of online events. And for all of you that have anything to do with electric vehicles, besides sharing this information with yourselves, you can share it with your network, especially people who don't have the time to come to the in-person events. There's a bunch of events like you see here, the EV 101 for people who don't know much. And then if you go to the next slide, please. Then there's this storytelling to boost EV adoption. That's really aimed more at people who are trying to share their stories. People like I expect are on this call. And then you can just go through the rest of the slides slowly. There's just a bunch more of events that are online from different states. I want to go back up one more slide. The last one I think will be quite interesting. Consumer Reports working with Generation 180. Generation 180 is an organization that's in Virginia, and they'll have another Ask an EV Owner. I think I'll try to join into that one myself. Okay, next slide. So to sum it up, I encourage everyone that has anything to do with electric vehicles to participate in some aspect of Drive Electric Week, whether in person or online. And check out also, I'll put in the chat our Ask an EV Owner link. And that's it. Any questions? I'd also like to invite Scott Wilson to say a few words since he's one of the city. They organize these events by having what they call city captains. He's a main organizer of the event in DC.
Yeah, well, the event, I mean, we've had the event in DC before, pre-COVID, I think starting in 2014, and you're down on the mall on a weekend, so there you get a lot of tourists walking around. So you can talk to people from all over the country and all over the world, and it is a marquee location, so you do get like great photography. And but this year's event grew out of an event called Route Zero, which EAA had gotten comments. They went cross country and collected comments on proposed EPA regulations to increase mileage standards for cars. And so they did kind of a cross country relay and gathered comments, and then it all wound up in front of EPA headquarters. And so that's where those other groups were, Mom's Clean Air Force and the other ones, Consumer Reports was there. And so then we wanted to kind of keep that momentum going, and the EPA issues are still in play. And so we said, okay, let's go ahead and put another event down in the mall. And so we got that 3rd Street location, which is a nice area. And so then it's going to be a combination of showing EV cars and also speaking on issues. And so that'll be a nice kind of all-in-one event. So yeah, we just want cars to come down and owners. It's usually not too hard to get them to come downtown, and then we're gonna have like, you know, the tourist audience, so essentially national audience of people that are in town. And it's a nice location. It's by the Native American Museum, and so people are walking from there to the Capitol back and forth. So everybody, of course, is invited to come.
Thanks, Scott.
Any questions for Bob? I did see, in the chat first, actually. Quentin asked, was the fuel cost based on cash per kilowatt hour for the EVs listed?
Let me just happen to have one of these at the bottom of the info sheet. I think it tells it's assuming that somebody's driving 15,000 miles a year and that they're paying 12 cents per kilowatt hour for that calculation.
Right. I had a question. Is the list of EVs translated into other languages?
Not yet. But Scott has been pushing for that.
And we have a couple partners who do translating too. So if you're looking for people to help translate, we know some people as well. Any other questions for Bob? Right.
Well, we hope to see everyone down there in DC. September 30th.
Yes, everyone, mark your calendars. Thank you so much, Bob. So, moving on to our last bit of the agenda. So I did want to make everyone aware of some funding opportunities coming up. So there is the FSC Green Energy Loan Program. And as part of the Prince George's County Green Bank, FSC first will administer the program to provide financing, building energy efficiency improvements, energy conservation, and renewable energy measures. And the loan guarantees up to $250,000. There's also the Keep Maryland Beautiful Grant Program, where the Maryland Environmental Trust, in partnership with the Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Department of Agriculture, and the Chesapeake Bay Trust are presenting the Keep Maryland Beautiful Grant Program. Those grants will help volunteer-based nonprofit groups, communities, and land trusts in Maryland to support environmental education projects, litter removal, citizen stewardship, and to protect natural resources in urban and rural areas. Applications opened on September 1st and they closed November 15th. And we'll make sure that this is all shared, all the links and everything. And then there's also the $9 million global challenge to help cities move more safely, inclusively, and sustainably. So the Sustainable Cities Challenge aims to be a catalyst for partnership with local innovators. From a $9 million fund, 3 winning cities will receive up to $100,000 to facilitate city participation and staff capacity, and additional funds will be dispersed to City Challenge participants to encourage new solutions. 10 shortlisted cities will receive invitations to attend the City Academy in Dallas, Texas, in November, and they will benefit from capacity building support to better understand and refine their challenges and attract innovators to offer solutions. So I'm going to put these all in the chat, and then Kim will send them at the end of the day if anyone is interested. Last bit, I did want to make everyone aware of our Empower Program pledge that we are kicking off. So the Empower Program pledge is a workplace charging program, and we are hoping to collect pledges from different businesses saying that you pledge to insert workplace charging in your office. Now, you don't have to put in a specific plan. You don't need to put in a like timeline or anything. We just want you to say that you are interested in workplace charging. This is pretty important, mostly because we want to know how we can help our members and other stakeholders move toward the transition of workplace charging. And so by signing this pledge, not only are you agreeing to put workplace charging to make it easier for your employees to charge while they're on the job, but it will also help us help you find the services necessary. So we will send out information about the Empower Program pledge after this meeting. And other than that, does anyone have any last questions or last things to add before we're finished? Okay, well, I hope to see you all at the GWRCCC annual conference on October 3rd and 4th. Please get your tickets and get your souvenir journal ads, and we would love to have you all at exhibitor tables. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. And I realize that I did not send the links to these funding opportunities, so I'm sorry. We will email them to you. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.